Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our episode of Built to Rise, where we build up entrepreneurship. We teach, we educate, we train, and we develop. And so I am so glad that all of you decided to join us today. I know that I have a blessing of followers but now we're off and running. We want to talk about entrepreneur in its purest form. Mainly, I like to talk about things that are missing in the entrepreneur day-to-day ways of thinking. And so mainly my take is always about the mental ability, the mindset. You know, what you think about all day is what you become. And so if you want to become the best at what it is you want to do, you need to become and be a product of what it is that you're stretching for, what it is you're going to spend your time in. And so that is what we're going to talk about. How do we develop the mindset? But this is the great thing. I want you as the audience to be a participant in this. I want to hear your feedback on this. I want to see how you started your business. I want to see what books you read or what mentors you had, or if you had a business coach like I'm a business coach in your life, if they helped you, if they didn't help you. So the whole purpose of this is to have other entrepreneurs look at this and be able to pick up something that's going to help them. So I'm not just going to be the teacher in this podcast. You are going to be the teacher as well, because I want to use your stories. I want to hear your input, and I want to display you. And so we can help other entrepreneurs grow and build, because being an entrepreneur, I mean, man, let's face it, for me, this is my life. I've been an entrepreneur now for almost 30 years. I mean, I started out doing, oh my goodness. So I was an engineer at General Motors, for those who don't know. And I really liked my job at the time. I had a company car. I was able to come and go as I pleased. I had great pay. I had a great relationship with my boss, Miss Vivian Weaver. And so everything was great. But for me, I had like this burning desire. I had this thing inside of me that just wouldn't quit. And my thing was, I didn't know exactly at the time what I wanted to do. And then when I started to really read and I started to understand, the first book, let me tell you, the first book that changed my life, the book that made me leave my job and take the chance and take the risk, was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, right? And then it was rewrote for the black level, for the black version, and his name was. It'll come to me in a minute. But that book there changed my life. When I read about how all of these black people back in the days, even back in time of slavery, how they still made a way. They were millionaires way back in the days of slavery. And I never would have thought that, just kind of listening to and going through the motion of media and how they're saying, slavery was, black people were just all locked up. They were, not doing nothing, just, being a slave. But they were actually millionaires that were developed during the time of slavery. And so when I started to read about these people and the things they went through and the times that they were faced with and that they were challenged with, it just blew my mind. I mean, I was like all the way like blown back. And so after reading their stories, I'm like, man, if they could do this in that time, and looking at today's time where we have every resource available to us at our fingertips, I'm like, if they could go through what they went through back then and still become multimillionaires, there's no reason in hell that I can't be successful in this day and time, where I do have the flexibility and I do have the freedom and I do have the resources. So that's what kind of snowballed my thing. And so one day I planned it out. I said, man, I'm leaving this job in like 2 months, 3 months. I can't remember the exact terms. And I made sure I had a few months of money saved up where I could pay my bills and do all that. And so I came home, I ran it by my wife, and she wasn't a big fan because at the time I said, just reading some other material, I said, well, what is going to be the best business that I can create that's going to have to be relying on other people? See, my thing was, in order to be a great leader, that you had to be able to lead people in something that they weren't really going to be happy to do, but they were going to be happy doing it because of your leadership. And so then I wanted to figure out, how do I learn about proposals and contracts? And so I'm thinking about the whole business aspect about what I was doing and how I want to go about it. And so I decided, I said, if I start a cleaning service, a janitorial service, that means I'm going to have to rely on people, because, you can't grow in that industry without having help and employees. So when I came home and I told my wife about that, I said, babe, look, I'm going to start a janitorial service. And the name of the janitorial service at the time was, first class janitorial service, first class cleaning service. And so she wasn't a big fan, like, man, you got to be kidding. How are you going to leave your job as an engineer and start a business cleaning? And you don't even like to clean at home. I'm like, well, I'm telling you, just based on logistics, based on research, and based on all of these things, like, for me, like, it's going to be a blessing. I know it's going to be hard, it's going to be challenging, but it's going to cause me to have a lot of discipline. And then going into something that I don't do or didn't know how to do. And so I went into this, and you know what? This is the thing. It was very hard and very challenging, even though I do clean at home. She was kind of stretching that. But I'm not a cleaner. But my thing was, I knew what it took to clean. And I know that there are people out there who love to clean. My thing was, I just need to get those people that love to clean in the vicinity of where I was running the business. And so it started off kind of slow, and it eventually started to pick up. I ended up getting a few business vehicles, ended up getting employees, and everyone that I hired, they were like so happy to work for me. Now, this is the thing. I wasn't the type of guy or the type of business guy where I'm just telling everybody, this is what you got to do, this is what you got to do. No. So let's not mistake that. I'm the type of guy that really, I got down and dirty with them. I'm in the clinches with them. For real. Like, I'm going out to the buildings, I'm still cleaning, I'm doing all of that, because I felt that I didn't just want to show them. I didn't want to be their boss. I wanted to lead them. And I wanted them to be happy about being around me. So when we're driving to the jobs and, we're cracking jokes, we're having fun, we're talking about all different type of things, we're talking about how it's going to be. And that moment, I'm just like, you know what? It was hard starting off, but then it started to pick up. And then next thing I know, because we specialized, we didn't actually do cleaning, even though we did have some office buildings that we actually did cleaning. But I was more focused on floor care, the stripping, the waxing of the floor. So we had like the Rite Aids, a lot of department stores. And like I said, it picked up and it went well. It let me know that my leadership skills were really starting to kick in. And so then it got to the point where I didn't have to be there. And, I had, what I was, made some people managers. I made, supervisors. And so they would come and they would get the vehicles. They would pick up the employees and they would go do their job and their work. And so that kind of worked out great. So with that being said, I want to know what was your first business that you started, and did it work out? Because even though that worked out and I sold that business, that lets me know two things. One, that, I had what it took to lead. And the second thing is, I really felt like I became a businessman, because not only did I create something from scratch, but I was able to get it to the point where I was able to actually sell the business. So that was phenomenal for me. So I want you guys to tell me, I want you to leave it down in the comments, and I want you to tell me, what was your first business? Was it very difficult, or did you have a good start? Or did you have a lot of people supporting you? Did you have people that weren't supporting you? Did you have family working for you? Or did you just have to go straight and find employees? How did you roll yourself into entrepreneurship? So I'm very eager to know and understand how you did it, and if it really worked for you. But this is the thing. I want to know if you quit. I want to know if you felt you had what it took to be an entrepreneur, but yet you didn't succeed. You quit, you went back to work. If that was your case, I want to know about that, because these are the type of stories that I want to put on this podcast to either keep people from quitting or let people know that sometimes entrepreneur just isn't for you. And sometimes you have to just kind of cut your ties quick. I mean, because that's one of the things that I talk to a lot of my clients about. I'm like, listen, one thing about entrepreneurship is it's time consuming and you're going to have to put in a whole lot. And just knowing so many entrepreneurs and flying around the country and helping small businesses that were failing, I'm like, man, a lot of people really could have saved themselves a lot of time, a lot of headache. You know, they could have just really stayed working where they were, because sometimes, you know, and everyone leaves their job for different reasons. Some people may leave their job because they're tired of the boss. Some people may leave their job because they're very excited about what they see everyone else doing. Like, I see this person started a business and they seem to be successful. Or, you know, you just really just kind of, you're looking for some type of freedom, but everyone starts a business for different reasons. So the conclusion I've come to, and like I said, just coaching a lot of people, really kind of getting to the nuts and bolts of it on why they started a business. And then when they start to fail, and then they're like lost thousands of dollars, they lost years of their life, when really they could have stayed in that profession that they were in and not started a business. I mean, because some people never really make the type of money that they were even making when they were working. And now, not only aren't you making the money that you was making when you were working, but now you picked up all of these other things that you have to deal with that you don't know about. Now you got to learn how to manage your time wisely. Now you have to learn about accounting. Now you have to figure out if you're going to need attorneys on your team or not. And these are things that you just a lot of times don't know about. And that's my main focus when I'm coaching or talking and, you know, dealing with others or investing, because I actually buy a lot of businesses now. I buy people businesses, and sometimes I let them stay on as manager and I just take on all the other parts of it. Sometimes I'll buy the business, they leave, and then I'll bring in new people, whatever, to, you know, do what's needed to get the business up and running. If I feel that it has a good business model and they have, you know, if I see that, you know, the possibility to make some income and, you know, help other people get work. So, you know, entrepreneurship is something else. But the main thing of business is you have to be able to think. And so once again, going back to the book that I talked about earlier, Think and Grow Rich, like that's all it's about. To me, there's no other way to get rich. You have to, and it's a mindset. Because for me, I felt like I was rich, way rich, before I became rich. And then I sit there thinking today, like, really, what is rich? Like, what is considered rich to you guys? Is rich like, you know, once you hit the $1 million mark, is that rich to you guys? Or is it a certain amount of money monthly that you can make that would, you know, consider you rich? Or is it mainly just based on you and how you feel about yourself? Like if you feel really good about yourself, and even though you may not be making a lot of money, but you're feeling really good about what you're doing, you're feeling really good about your business, you're feeling really good about your services. Now, would you consider that to be rich? And I just want to know, because for me, like that's the richness. The richness for me is freedom. Being able to do what I want to do whenever I want to do it, and ain't nobody telling me a jack nothing, right? And so like that's just how my life has been for me for the last like 30 years. Like you can't tell me, when I say you can't tell me nothing, not saying that I can't learn from you, but you're not going to control the way that I move. So that's what I say when you can't tell me nothing, because I'm a very open-minded type of guy, and I believe that you can learn from anybody, whether they're on your level or if they're not on your level. You can learn from anyone. So here we go again. I want you to tell me what was one of the most valuable lessons that you learned in business. Was it a friend, somebody that was in business? Was it a mentor? What was one of the best lessons that you learned in business that kind of helped you and molded you to and guided you to go where you need to go, or that kind of just opened up that world for you, and everything from that point was like just rocking and rolling. So I want to know, I want your feedback. And like I said, this is the podcast for everybody. So we're all podcasters, right? And so what you deliver to me, there'll be times when I will ask to call you up and have a conversation with you, put you on Skype. And so others can learn, right? And then there'll be times I might go out and I might interview, it just depends. But at the end of the day, I want raw talent. I want this raw vision that's coming from me to you. And I'm just saying this because, no, I'm not wealthy by no chance. Well, I am wealthy inside. That's the thing. I'm like very, 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 very wealthy inside. And I love my life. I just love my fucking life. And I'm like, man, I always felt like this. Like, I've always really loved my life. And the entrepreneur path just kind of, it just opened up so beautifully. And let me correct that, because there have been some very, very hard times. I'm just the type of person that, you know what, I'll go through some things that are really tough and I'll just forget about it. Like, I'm not going to be stuck on what kind of held me back. Each and every person that starts a business is going to have a brick wall in front of them. And so I realized the brick wall that's in front of you is not there to stop you. And a lot of people, they run across that, and they, people that's trying to hold them back and all that, and they give up, and, the world is against me. But, that brick wall of those people that are there in front of you, they're not there to hold you back. I promise you, that brick wall is not there to hold you back. That brick wall, or those people, are there to see how bad do you want it. And if you gave up, that means you just didn't want it bad enough. Trust me. And if you want it bad enough, there's no wall or no person that's going to hold you back, because the world is full of resources. You just have to put in the work. And the thing about that is, only you know at the end of the day if you gave it 100%. Only you know that. Don't nobody know if you gave it 100% but you. And so at the end of the day, you could talk, you could try to swoosh people over and tell them all these sad stories about, why it works, why it doesn't work, blah, 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 wah, wah, wah. But at the end of the day, if you put in 100%. And so the time is now. We can't keep trying to fool people because we have this notion that we're only going to put in 70% and we're putting in 70% and it didn't work. And then we're convincing other people that, this type of business doesn't work, or that person, they're a scammer, they're scheming, they took my money and blah, 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 blah. No. A real entrepreneur, let me tell you, baby, a real entrepreneur, that brick wall, he's busting through it. Yeah. Those people that seem to have been designed to come and hold you back was usually going to be the closest people to you, people in your family. They're not there to stop you. You may think they're there to stop you. They may think that they're to stop you, but no. They're just there. God set them there so they can figure out, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to go through these trivial points in life? Are you willing to bust through that brick wall? What are you willing to do for your success? Because the harder the circumstances, the further the distance of success. So I'm just trying to motivate you guys. I want everyone, like I said, chime in, leave your stories, leave your name. Let's set something up. Let's get this thing going. And the world needs to know, what it's really like from a real entrepreneur standpoint. I mean, those who are really started from the ground. When we hear the old saying, pull your bootstraps up. That's how you're going to get your financing and all that. But, there are some people, especially a lot of black people that, they don't have a bootstrap to pull up. But they made it happen one way or the other. They robbed Peter to pay Paul. I don't know how they did it. But these are the things that we need to know. Other resources. And listen, yes, I'm talking to you directly. You have that specific resource. You have that resource because your story is your resource. What you had to do is your resource. How you grew your business from nothing is your resource. So how are we going to do this? Are you going to help build this podcast with your story so we can elevate together, so we can grow together, so we can bring everybody in and they're going to learn from our stories, from our tragedies, our triumphs. What are we going to do? What are we going to do, people? What are we going to do? So I think this is a phenomenal thing. Built to Rise, this name came from, this podcast, Built to Rise, came from my new book that's coming out. And it's a workbook for entrepreneurs, small business owners. I mean, just to, start asking ourselves the tough questions, figuring out internally, like where are we going to be? What is going to make us happy? And so my thing as an entrepreneur to you guys is I'm trying to get you to a happy place. I want to get you back to that place when you first started your business. Can you remember when you first started your business, how happy and excited you were when you had that burning desire inside of you? I mean, you just had a desire that wouldn't quit. You got started, you were meeting people, you were shaking hands. And I mean, the world was your oyster at that time. And then as time started to go by, which happens to about 75% of us, as the time goes by and you start really hitting a lot of road bumps in the road, and then you start to lose your motivation. You start to lose that spark. And so I want to bring that spark back to you. I want to bring that desire that you had back to you. I want to show you and teach you, as well as with the others around us, how you can bring happiness back into your business as an entrepreneur. I mean, I believe that the way we start has a great influence on how we're going to end. But even if you didn't have a great start, there's still a possibility and a chance that we can have a great ending. And so I want to take it all the way back. I'm going all the way back with this thing with you guys. I mean, from that fire pit inside of us, that desire. I want to tap into that desire. I want to go, like, what is your magnet in life? Like, what are you attracting? Why are you attracting that? Because all of us have a magnet. We all have that attraction inside of us. We just need to learn how to reactivate the magnet. So how are you attracting what it is that you need in life? What are you doing to attract the things that you need in life? Are you surrounding yourself with these people over there that has no connecting to your future, to your business, to your happiness? You're just surrounded by them because these are the people you grew up with? Is that part of your magnet? Because if that's the case, then yes, you have to remagnetize your magnet. You can't attract good when you're surrounded by bad. You can't attract prosperity when you're attracting people that want to sabotage, right? So how are we going to change the way that we think? How are we going to finally get away from the people that's been holding us back? And unfortunately, once again, I love my family, my mother, my sister, my brother, my aunts, cousin, blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, there are people that are close to them, like family, they shouldn't be in your attraction. Fierce. They shouldn't be there, right? You have to learn how to remagnetize. And remagnetize means that we have to learn how to change the way we think. We have to change the way that we react. We have to change the way that we see things. Because the old saying is, if you keep doing what you've been doing, then you'll always get what you've been getting. So in order to see a different life, in order to have a different type of business, the first step is knowing and figuring out, like, what are you attracting and what are you giving out? Because sometimes, unfortunately, you may be the problem. You may be the problem. And if so, then you have to do some self-evaluation, self-diving, and all of that to understand, like, what triggers you? Why do you do this? Why, when this happens, you do this? And this isn't never working out. Every time you do this, it's always turmoil. So what are you doing? What are you doing and where are you at? First question I need to be asked. What are your desires and what are you doing about it, right? The next thing is, who are you attracting and why are you attracting these individuals? So we have to start there. We have to start at the beginning. We have to start at the basics. And it's okay, because this is the thing. Most people who've been in business, who really haven't been successful, but they've made some money, like they shut down. They think that, okay, you can't tell me, how to do this because I've done it, I tried it or whatever, and it didn't work. And that's okay, because that happens to all of us. The thing about it, though, is you still have to be a student of the game. You have to keep evolving, learning. You have to constantly put discipline in your everyday activities. And those who have already been in business, the old saying is you can't teach a dog new tricks. And it's unfortunate that, people would rather just suffer. They would suffer because they learn how to do everything with their right hand for so long. And whether it's working or not working, but it's not fulfilling. But just because they're used to using this right hand for so long, and then a person like me comes around, and I'm telling you that, okay, we're not going to use your right hand anymore. I need you to start using your left hand. And because that method of changing the way that you think and getting out of your comfort zone and utilizing your left hand, most people rather just stay at a certain level or stay unhappy because they're not going to make that shift. Because they're just like, I've been using my right hand for 30 years, bro. I ain't finna start using my left hand. I'm not building no muscle on my left hand. I already got a big muscle on my right hand. And so they just end up losing out on so much in life. And just not wanting to address change. And the world is changing every single day, my friends. If you're not in line with change, then you're automatically going to be left behind. So, what are we going to do here? Once again, like, subscribe, comment. But what are we going to do here? Let's start off or restart on a positive note. Let's restart from the foundation and build ourselves back up. It's okay to go back to step one. It's okay. I remember listening to T.D. Jakes and he was talking about the exact same thing, how sometimes, we're looking at these stairs and we had to climb all of these stairs. And so, and as you get to the top level of what you're doing, we want to sit and dwell at that top of the stairs where everyone is glorifying us, instead of looking at the next set of stairs where we have to go all the way back down to the beginning and start all over again, because we're learning something new that's going to elevate us a lot higher than the last steps we just came from. And so a lot of people don't want to take that step or go back down to another level and go all the way to the bottom and then rebuild and relearn to come up so they can be better than what they were. A lot of people just don't want to do that. They want to be comfortable with people who are going to be, under them, where they're the boss, or they got to a certain level and everyone's appraising them. But the level doesn't stop there. We have to always keep pushing ourselves, always keep developing yourselves, always keep, learning, going to seminars, YouTube, whatever it takes. We need to constantly keep learning and developing, because for me as an entrepreneur, that's what keeps us alive. And the thing about entrepreneurship is, real entrepreneurs, is all about the creative ability. Entrepreneurs are the creators. And when you stop being a creator, then you lose all momentum to grow as an entrepreneur. Now, there's a difference of just say you bought into a franchise, you bought into a system that's already there. You're not an entrepreneur. You're a high-level manager. I'm talking about those people that came from the bottom, started their own business, their own idea, their own name, their own brand, and did everything from the beginning. These are the people that I'm talking to. These are the entrepreneurs that I relate to. And it's just, And every entrepreneur is a creative being. Like, we drive off of being creative, and developing our creation. Like, that's what entrepreneur is all about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is my time for today. I love you all. And in the words of Zig Ziglar, I will see you, yes, you, at the top. Peace.